Well, good day to you, people of the YouTubes. Check it out. Bought more stuff that I didn't need, but showed up on Facebook Marketplace, and you know, when you see stuff on Facebook Marketplace that was listed 9 minutes ago and just kind of looks cool, you just got to go buy it, right? So well, that's what happened. And I guess, truth be told, it's not completely useless because it did come with a mower deck. And I tell you what, for considering, you know, I guess all the used mowers that I've picked up off of Facebook and Craigslist and stuff over the years, I can't believe how freaking nice this mower deck is. We'll take a closer look at that in a little bit, but anyway, back to the machine at hand here. Man, I'm trying to figure out how to use this GoPro. I gotta change some settings so the screen doesn't keep going off on me, or switch over to an actual camera. But anyway, so this is a, I think, mid to late 80s Ford LGT17H. I don't think they were made for very many years. They have, at least this one has the 17 horsepower Kohler KT Series 2 in it. Not the best engine in the world, not the worst engine. I know the diehard Kohler people out there like them. I guess maybe the collectors do, but they also have a kind of negative or bad reputation for locking up and throwing rods and stuff like that. This one supposedly only has about 550 hours on it, so I'm cautiously optimistic that I won't have to do anything to it, and I'll just be able to throw it together and put the deck on it and use it, but we'll just see how things go. So anyway, I'll give you a little bit of a closer look here. Like I said, pick this up off of Facebook Marketplace from a guy that's local to me here. Older gentleman. He kind of just like does small engine repair and flips stuff, which, you know, I don't like to buy stuff from him too often. And I mean, to be honest, I've only bought one thing from him before, and that was a little Aaron's snowblower that, you know, I just needed a small snowblower, so that's why I picked that up. But he's one of those guys that does, I don't know, restorations and tries to flip stuff, and isn't a nice guy and everything, but like obviously he's just trying to catch your eye with pictures and then, you know, get you there, and once you're there, you kind of talks you into buying stuff. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I'll show you the quality of the work that he does here. Like, it's just, I don't know, some of this stuff kind of is slightly irritating. Like, you know, this engine cover on the side here, you just put pieces of tape over the Kohler logo and then spray bombed it black, and you know, you get up close and personal with this thing. Like, I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but you can see that he repainted the hood and did kind of a crappy job. This is like orange peeling, and there's some other goofy stuff with it too that just, you know, when you see it, you're just kind of like, what the heck, like what happened here? And we'll get into that in a little bit, but at the moment, just trying to kind of give you a little bit of a tour of what she looks like. And despite, you know, the crappy touch-ups and the paint job and everything, it's actually in really good shape. As you can see, like, all the sheet metal is straight on it. No major dents or anything. It was missing the grill, and again, he just picked up some like expanded metal from Menards and bolted it in there. So I'm going to try and do something with that to make it look a little bit better. But yeah, like I said, compared to the condition that the whites were in when I bought those, this Ford is actually in better shape. And he did give me this extra clutch with it, and that's got a little bit of a story behind it too. I'll get into that in a second. And then he had this little ROPS on there, and that's completely useless. It's just like conduit. I mean, if you had it on there and you rolled it over, it's, I mean, not going to do anything for you. And I mean, there's no seat belt on it anyway, so it's kind of pointless at that point. But anyway, yeah, this was never meant to have a ROPS on it. Didn't come from the factory like that or anything, but just something else he threw in with the deal. And other nice thing is it does have 4 brand new ag tires on it. which depending on what I end up using this for could be a blessing or a curse. I do kind of want to mow lawn with it, so we'll see how bad those rip up the lawn. It is set up, well, the lighting's kind of bad here. It's set up for a 3-point attachment just like my other garden tractors are. You know, I would have to fab one for it just like I did with the whites. But I don't know if I'm going to. If anything, I've got an old sleeve hitch that I might try and put on here just for shits and giggles. But yeah, I mean, all in all, everything is actually pretty clean. It's not leaking any oil. I think the lift cylinder, you know, is seeping around the shaft just a little bit, but it's not bad at all. All these hydro lines back here are actually, I mean, they're not dry rotted or cracked or anything. There's no leaks. I've said that a couple times now, but it's just kind of some of the stuff that I'm talking about with, like, you know, trying to make things look a little bit better by just haphazardly throwing spray paint at it is just not, it's not a good practice to get into. But all things like that aside, I still think this was a fairly decent deal. Paid $1,000 for it, probably a bit too much, but like I said, there's the hour meter, about 550 hours on it. The meter is working, at least I think it's working. I'll have to double check on that. I'm pretty sure I saw it move, but I mean, even so, who knows if it's the original meter. I'll take a closer look at that. I just brought this home yesterday. Haven't really had a chance to do a whole lot with it, besides hop on it and, you know, drive it off the trailer and whatnot. It is a hydrostatic, obviously. Just had a look at the rear end there. Does have high and low range. I guess this here is like some sort of a cruise control type deal. So you can set your speed with the hydro pedal and then lock it in place. There's your throttle, and it does have an electric PTO. Like I said before, this is what I was messing with last night. Here, I'll show you this too. So this pulley was on the front of the engine, on the front crankshaft, or on the front of the crankshaft. And there's like part of a clutch left on there. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this. All right, hang on a second. Let me grab a flashlight. That's kind of as good as it's going to get for now, I guess. But you'll get a better shot at it once I bring it out of the dark here. I'm going to move the whole thing around so I can get at this and work on it a little bit easier. But you can see what's left of the clutch that's on there is pretty well toasted. I don't know if those can be rebuilt at all. If you guys know, let me know, because that's something that I'd be interested in doing. Or I guess I could buy some sort of universal deal and pop that on there. But in order to pull that pulley off, I don't know what happened to the end of the crankshaft, but there's a big old dent in it. And then part of the crankshaft had sort of mushroomed out. So I had to file that down real well to get the pulley off of there, and well, to get the first half of the clutch off too. But what I think I'm going to do is just kind of redneck lathe it here and fire up the engine and grab a piece of emery cloth or maybe even a file, and just as that's rotating, kind of smooth it out a little bit, because there is still a bit of a hump there at the end that I want to get taken care of. So that's what I'm going to be working on tonight. And then just kind of looking the whole thing over the rest of the way. I do want to go through the wiring in it, because right now it's, sorry about the lighting, it just kind of sucks at the moment. But you can see, maybe you can't. The wiring on here is just, it's atrocious, as it typically is on all the used stuff that I buy. Well, let's go have a look at the deck real quick. So this is a 48-inch deck. I can't believe how nice this thing is. Still has all of the original like labels on it and everything, and they're actually all in pretty good shape. And most surprisingly of all, I guess, is that it has the discharge chute on it yet. I've hardly ever see a discharge chute left on a mower deck, especially these old metal ones. So I'm kind of excited to actually use this to mow. I know it's not going to leave as nice a finish as the white does, but it's just kind of too nice to not use it. I'm going to pull the blades off of it and sharpen those. I might even buy a new set of blades for it. I was looking online. I can still get blades for this deck. I mean, the top's not rusted through or anything like that. As you can see, obviously, there's a little bit of surface rust there where I pulled the covers off of, but the spindles are all in good shape. I flipped it over, found the grease fittings on the back side, and they all took grease. I got to go get a new tube of grease. Got the middle one and this one here in front of us all taken care of, and that one on that side needs a couple more pumps of grease, but like I said, I ran out, so I'm going to do that. It's probably one of the things that I'll do this weekend. But yeah, right now I kind of want to test out this clutch and see if that's going to actually work. I think it will. It just, I've never really dealt with these all that much, and it seems kind of strange to me how much this moves around, but obviously it won't do that once this is centered on the crankshaft. I think I kind of get it. I know there's something you have to do to sort of set some sort of spacing with these. I have to look that up online and see just exactly what has to be done there, but I'm going to put 12 volts to it real quick and just make sure that it does actually, I guess, lock in place when you apply 12 volts to it. So let's do that real quick, and then we'll get this thing turned around and work on getting the rest of that old clutch off and smoothing out the crankshaft, and maybe even get this one mounted tonight. That would be a good goal, I think. Alright, I just got jumper cables hooked up to the battery on there right now, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but just listen for a click. Here's what I should do. Connect the hot there, and then when I complete the circuit here, all I'm going to do is just connect the ground anywhere on the clutch here, and then you should hear like a pop, and then it should lock in place. So right now, kind of spins freely. Yep, and you just heard that click, and now it's locked in place. Freely locked in place. So that clutch should be good. I was looking at the bolt patterns there. I'm pretty sure it's gonna line up without any issues. But time will tell. So I'm gonna get this drug out here a little bit so I can get at the front of the engine a little bit easier, and then try and get that little dimple on the crankshaft filed down, and we'll go from there, see how long that takes. Alright, so you guys can see how jacked up that clutch is. There's just pieces, parts of it, material, whatever that is. I don't even know what this, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really know how these work. I mean, I obviously get the idea, the principle behind it, right? Like, you've got like, kind of like a rotor and a stator, for better lack of terms. One part of it is actually typically keyed to the crank and rotating with the crank. And then the other part is not keyed. Still on the crank, just not keyed to rotate with it. And then you apply the 12 volts to it, kind of magnetizes one half and sucks the other half in there, and then, you know, allows it to rotate. That's a bad description of how that works, I guess. But so I don't know if this is just the part that gets magnetized. I would imagine that's what this is. This is the part that gets magnetized and then sucks in the other part that would have the pulley on it and then causes it to rotate. But anyway, this is in pieces in here. There's chunks of it all over the place. So I'm not exactly sure what happened to it, but obviously it's pretty much not usable at this point. So we're going to pull it off and try and get that new one on there. Really kind of hoping this Kohler turns out to be a good runner. Overall, it really, I think, you know, the hour meter is pretty accurate. It doesn't look like this thing has had a whole lot of use. The tie rods and everything on the front end, all the steering joints and whatnot, they're all pretty tight. You know, like I said, the sheet metal is straight, the muffler guards and everything, all the guards in the engine are still on there. All the safety guards on the deck and everything, it's all still there. I think this was a one-owner machine. I mean, other than the guy that I bought it from. He said he picked it up from the original owner when he went out to put a new key switch in here. Like I said, the guy I bought it from does small engine repair. And then I'm sure he probably picked it up for a song from the original owner. You know, the elderly gentleman that had originally owned it probably thought, like, you know, it's not really worth anything, it's just an old garden tractor, and probably gave it away for less than half of what I paid for it, but that's alright. At least I have it. Went to a good home and whatnot. Like I said, I'm pretty excited to have it. I think it's going to be pretty useful. Even though I definitely did not need it. That's just the way stuff goes sometimes. So there we go. That's off of there. I think I'm just going to give that a little clean real quick, clean that up, and then we'll try and, I was going to say we'll try and bolt the new one on, but like I said, before we do that, we'll have to clean up the rest of the crankshaft a little bit. So you guys can hang out while I clean that, and then I will bring you back in once it's done and I'm actually doing a little bit more work. Alright, I got that all cleaned up, or at least a little bit cleaner than it was. So let's go ahead and fire up the engine and do a little bit of filing and sanding and try and get that lump out of the end of the crankshaft there. I would try and get you in and show it to you, but you actually, I mean, it's so slight that you really can't even see it. You can kind of see where I was filing right there. It's just right on the end here, and it just, the clutch and everything, it's just such a tight fit that it kind of prevents it from going on there. So I just got to take a little bit, just a little bit off of there, and I think that's going to be the quickest and easiest way to get, I guess, like a smooth, consistent finish on there, is to actually have the crankshaft be spinning and, you know, just hold a file there, or a piece of sandpaper or something like that. So we're going to go ahead and give that a try and see how it goes. Hopefully I don't run you guys over when I fire this thing up. I'm thinking that probably wasn't nearly enough, but again, you never know. Hopefully I didn't take off too much. But that was like 220 sandpaper, so I really kind of doubt that I took off much at all. But only one way to find out, I guess. We'll see if the new clutch assembly slides on there. I guess some of you more seasoned mechanics out there can tell me whether or not that was a stupid thing to do. But, you know, I mean, I don't really see much else you could do other than trying to file down just that one spot or taking it to a machinist, which I'm sure as hell not paying for that right now. But yeah, it's going to be nice and hot, too. Oh, that's not terrible. Three different size bolts holding the shroud on. Whatever works, I guess. Now maybe that clutch will fit a little bit better. Should go on a little bit easier anyway. Let's see if she'll slide on there now. Not quite. Thinking she could use just a little bit more tweaking there. It is definitely better. So we'll try it with the file. Hopefully not take too much off. Tell you what, those things do sound pretty cool. Those old Kohlers and Onens and have a unique sound to them. Jeez, well, I just noticed that. That's probably part of the issue. I don't know what happened here. If there was, it's hard to say if there was some issue with. So there's definitely a chunk out of the crankshaft there. It almost looks like somebody had tightened down a, you know, like a set screw or something like that, and then tried to pull the pulley off, which is probably what happened. I'm sure you won't believe me, but that wasn't me. When I pulled this one, or when I got it, this pulley was already missing a chunk, so clearly somebody had tried to put a gear puller on it before and rip it off, and I'm sure that's probably what happened there. But well, what's done is done. I guess we'll see if we can get keep going with this and just see if we can get that clutch on there. I think it's just going to be a matter of, you know, it's going to be a back and forth thing. Just have to keep firing it up, taking off a little bit, fitting it, take off a little bit more, fit it, and just try not to take off too much in the process. But I think it'll be a slow process of me going back and forth here. So once I get it on there, I'll bring you back in and save you any more of the boring back and forth. All right, so there you have it. I was able to get this clutch on here. It started going a lot better when I realized that I should file in the opposite direction that the crankshaft was rotating, so I'd actually get a filing effect instead of just going with the rotation. Then I started to take quite a bit of metal off, and now she just slides, pretty much slides right on and off there. I had to give it a little bit of tap with the old rubber mallet here, but other than that, it goes right on. Where'd this go here? I had a little bit of key stock left over from when I did the engine swap in this blight and getting that whole pulley set up on that one with the manual clutch and whatnot. So I was able to throw a new key in there. Everything bolts up, lines up, fits good. The only thing I have to do now, actually I did test it. It does work with the PTO switch then. The only thing that I have to do is set, like I was talking about earlier, set the air gap on the clutch, which I know how to do. I just don't know, you know, what it's supposed to be. For those of you that don't know, God, the lighting sucks. It's either too bright or you're not going to be able to see anything at all. But maybe I can show you from this side. So there's 3 of these adjustment screws, or bolts, nuts, whatever you want to call them, around the outside of the clutch that control this like basket part of it that moves the pulley in and out from like the part of the clutch that gets magnetized. So obviously you want this to spin freely when your PTO isn't engaged, so your implement's not constantly on. And then, you know, you want it to have a strong connection there, magnetic wise, so your implement stays on when your PTO is on. And a key part of that is getting that air gap set correctly. And there's slots by each one of these nuts and bolts, adjustment bolts, whatever you want to call them, where you can fit a feeler gauge. So you just got to go around each one of the 3 adjustment points, slip a feeler gauge in there, and then tighten it down until you get the correct gap there. And like I said, not 100% sure what the gap is. I think I'm probably done on here for tonight. I'm gonna go in the house and figure out what that air gap is supposed to be. Jeez, had a bit of a long afternoon, getting kind of tired. Can't quite think of what I want to say, but anyway, yeah, that's the next step in that. And then once the whole clutch situation is all good to go, I want to give this bad boy an oil change, and then I'm going to throw the mower deck on it and see what she does. I think that'll be pretty fun, but I don't know, I might end this here, pick it up again, just do like a part 2. I guess this was somewhat of a little bit of an introduction to the machine itself, and then a little bit of working on it. And then the part 2, I'll pick up from where I left off here with the clutch, and we'll get the mower deck thrown on it, and actually go and do some work with it. But one thing that I'm kind of surprised at on this tractor specifically is how well built the front end is. I mean, it just, I guess I can't, you know, I haven't used it. This is the first one that I've had, so I can't speak to how strong they truly are, but I mean, it looks heavy duty. You compare it to what's on the white here, and man, I gotta get better lighting situation here. But I don't know, you can kind of see what you got going there. And I mean, this isn't, you know, light duty by any means, but you look at how like thick and boxy this frame is. It looks pretty heavy duty. or I should say the front end. Contrastingly, I guess, the frame itself, I think, is actually kind of weak. I mean, not weak, but, you know, compared to the other things that I have here. Man, again, I really apologize for the lighting. All right, there. Had to deal with the lighting situation there. It's like no matter what I was doing, it just wasn't good. That halogen lamp is like the frickin' sun, and then everything else you got going on in here just seems kind of dim. But when you're actually out here, it's, you know, working on stuff, it's good light, but not good light for doing filming anyway. But yeah, what was I talking about? Frames. Comparatively, where the engine mounts onto this frame, it seems actually kind of minimalist, I guess, or flimsy, slim, compared to the whites. And then if you look at something like a John Deere, like the 316, 317, 318, those all seemed pretty beefy compared to this. But I think primarily all I'm going to be doing with this is mowing, and I might build a 3-point setup for the rear and then put my tiller on it. Although I am super happy with the tiller setup that I have going on this white right now. New video coming up too. I did a predator swap on my old Craftsman tiller there. Got rid of this old 8-horse monstrosity there that was just on its last leg, and put the $100 motor from Harbor Freight on there, and that actually turned out pretty well. But I'll do a video coming up detailing that. Man, kind of rambling again. I don't know where I was going with that, but oh yeah, what I'm going to be using this primarily for, like I said, is probably just mowing. So I'm not too concerned about the construction of the frame and whatnot. With those ag tires on there, I might decide to pull a few logs around the property and see what she does. But other than that, I think it's kind of just going to be another thing that's in the collection. It's going to get used, but it's also just kind of cool. Don't see too many of them around. Kind of hoping that, like I said, the Kohler lasts on it. I don't really want to have to do an engine swap in this. I have no reason to believe that it's going to give me any issues. Like I said, overall, the whole thing seems to be in pretty damn good shape. But if worse comes to worse, like we always do, we can always engine swap it and make it work. Anyway, you'll be seeing a lot more of it. Any questions about it? Anything I can try and answer or show you better? Like I said, probably not a very popular machine. Let me know if anybody out there has one. It seems to be kind of the way that I'm going with my garden tractor collection here. A bunch of stuff that nobody else has or has seen very little of. But that's all right. I guess that's why they're worth collecting and using and keeping alive. I think Norman from I Save Tractors would be proud. But anyway, that's enough of my incoherent rambling for tonight, I guess. Thanks for watching. Watch for part 2 of this video. Honestly, it'll probably get released at about the same time as this one does. I've got quite a few things that I'm working on editing right now. I did one video back in like March and February that I'm still working on editing right now. Was doing some remodels on the house and stuff like that, and the editing's just been taking forever. Just haven't had a whole lot of time, but like I said, I'm gonna have a video coming out on the Predator swap tiller, and I'll give you a little preview of this here quick too. Been doing quite a bit of woodworking to go along with the remodel of the one room in the house and what will end up being the rest of the house eventually. I bought some mortise and tenon tools off of Amazon. I'm going to be making a kind of like a log daybed / couch situation that's going in the room that I turned into my office. As you can see here, I got a good majority of it cut and started already, so we're working on that. And then I'm making a couple of cedar stump tables like this one right here. This base of it is a cedar stump. The top is not. The top, I believe, is some sort of basswood or balsa or something like that that my grandparents actually had in their garage. Big slabs like that were chainsaw cut, so I went through and tried to plane down the top and backside as much as I could to make it into a level table. But I'm going to do a video on that too. All sorts of different stuff. You know how it is. This video is all over the place and going nowhere at the same time. So we're going to call it there. Like I said, probably like 5 times already. Jesus Christ. Brief introduction onto the Ford LGT17H. You'll be seeing a lot more of it in the future. And on that note, have a great night, boys and girls, and we'll see you in the next one.